right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday and a busy little drinking beaver I have been here at the Wine Watch this year. And some great tastings. You know, right about February we start to think about Brunello di Montalcino. This is one of my favorite wines from Italy, from Tuscany. 100% Sangiovese by law, released 5 years after the vintage by law, and still in great vintages. You need to keep this wine another 5 or 10 years in your cellar. And like I said, we can start to get excited because the new release is coming out. The 2008s will be here shortly. And we want to get you, our wine drinking people, excited as we are about Brunello. And we're going to show you some older examples. So we do a vintage Brunello tasting first. And then in a few months, when some of the 2008s have arrived, we will show you the new releases. And Brunello di Montalcino, like I said, 100% Sangiovese, and 5 years by law. You have to hold back, the producer does. And these wines can last 5, 10 years in your cellar easily after that. And that's when most producers feel like they are just starting to hit their stride. So everything we had at this tasting, 10 years or older, well, except for our big bottle of Fragale. You know, you always get extra when you come to a Wine Watch tasting. And we had a few extra people show up, and well, I felt obligated to give a little extra wine for these people. So we had enough to drink last night, and every single bottle is empty. So it looks like we did excellent work here. The first wine we showed was the Pieve Santa Restituta Sugarile Brunello from Angelo Gaia. He bought this property, well, the first year he had full control of it was 1995. He was still working with the previous owner in 1993, but had a hand in this wine, this Sugarile, their top vineyard site, and always a wine that needs a lot of time. 93 was not a great year, but a very good year in Brunello, and this wine's still showing brilliantly. It's got a lovely bouquet of black tar, truffles, some wild strawberry fruit, really still quite lively right after opening on the palate. Lovely silky smooth texture, layers of fresh earth, black truffle, black licorice spice, starting to mellow out a bit after it was opened, but still showing brilliantly. An excellent bottle of Brunello and cheaper than the current release. All right, the Cantalicchio de Sopra Reserva. This is a very small house, and the Reservas, well, a lot of times they're single vineyards, the best vineyard site, the oldest wines, or a selection of the best fruit, which is what Cantalicchio de Sopra is. This is a winery that's, well, tiny. They make about 2,000 cases of Brunello, so just a few hundred cases of Reserva, only in the best vintages. 1995, a 5-star vintage in the Gambero Rosso, did not get the press that 97 got in this country, but a lot of producers feel like it's a better vintage, and definitely it's got more legs than 97, as we have found out at these vintage Brunello tasting. This wine, lovely aroma here, fine herbs, earth, some dried meats, lovely red berry fruit, but predominantly still earthy aroma showing up. Soft and silky on the tongue here. This wine showing a bit of dried fruit, but lovely nuance here. The herbs, the spice, really just opening up brilliantly after hours of being in the glass. Most excellent juice, one of my favorite wines of the evening. And then there's the Valdicava Madonna del Piano. Valdicava, a small producer also. They make about 5,000 cases total of all their wines. The Madonna del Piano, the Brunello, and then the Rosso di Montalcino, which in vintages like 02 and the coming up 2011 release, no Brunello at all. Vincenzo Abruzzese is a producer that will stop at nothing to make the greatest wines. His guarantee to you is that his wine will last your entire life. That's right, the wine will outlive you, folks. Well, the 95 Madonna del Piano, the wine of the night here. This wine is killer. A complex bouquet of aromas here. Dark earth, truffle, tar notes, wild strawberry fruit. Kind of beefy aromas here showing as well. Really lovely richness on the palate. Still has tannins. This wine needed all night to open up. At the end of the night, just starting to show its true colors. And like I said, it's a little bit dry on the finish at first, but after having some food, after being in the glass for a couple hours, this wine showing brilliantly. And killer juice. If you have some of this, you could hold on to it for another 10 years or more easily. The 1996 Salvioni. 1996 was not a great vintage, but Salvioni, a great producer. And this wine, a cult wine from Montalcino. And really lovely toffee, kind of coffee-like aroma showing to that red berry fruits. Really light and present, dried flowers, rose petals. Really nice complexity on the nose, soft on the palate, really drinking at its peak. I would say this was the best wine to drink today, the most evolved, the most, you know, kind of at its peak years. Some licorice spice, some black tar, really classic Brunello, really lovely, soft and silky texture on the finish here. Just a most excellent example of a perfectly aged Brunello. The 97 Col d'Orcia. Col d'Orcia, a rather large producer, a very important producer, though. The Count was the head of the consortium for years. I think he resigned in 2003 after the scandal, but he's been here to see me several times. This 97 showing that classic bouquet of red cherry, wild strawberry fruit, dried flowers, fresh herbs, some classic black tar notes. A little bit chalky here, the tannins on the finish, but plenty of red berry fruit here. And anyone that thinks the 97 vintage is starting to go downhill, man, open up a bottle of this wine. Still very fresh. This wine has got great structure and many years ahead of it. Most excellent juice, the Col d'Orcia 97. All right, the 1999 Pietranero, part of the Centellani group. And they also have Frigiali, the big bottle that we opened up. And also Donna Olga, a wine that we have been offering at a killer price. The last couple emails we've gone on this. But this Pietranero from 99, a classic vintage. And lovely dark earth and dark berry fruit, tar-like aromas. Potpourri of dried floral notes. Smooth and elegant on the tongue. This 99 vintage, a little bit tannic at first, but really starting to open up now. Some lovely black tar, dark cherry fruit, and lovely freshness here on the finish. This wine still has got some years to go. Maybe just not as complex as, the Madonna del Piano or the Salvioni, but an excellent bottle of Brunello, not as expensive either. La Frescobaldi Brunello Riserva. This wine was awesome. 2001, a great vintage. Just an incredible bouquet of dark cherry fruit, black tar notes, truffle, dried rose petals. Really rich and well endowed on the palate with layers of dark licorice spice, firm tannin, still quite young and fresh here. A classic vintage, as I mentioned before, for Brunello. A really long finish. This wine, lovely concentration, richness, some tannins here. Definitely want to hold on to this wine a little longer in your cellar, but we don't have any available, so if you have it, good. Yeah, good for you. The Valdecava 2003. This was a hot year. This was a year that's somewhat more evolved than other vintages on the table, but lovely ripe fruit here, dark cherry berry fruit, some earth and black truffle notes, dried flowers and spice. Lovely perfume on the finish here, but the tannins already somewhat resolved and really drinking nicely now, these 2003s. Not a vintage you want to hold on to for a long time. And then there's the 2004 Frigiali in Magnum. Like I said, you always get extra at a Wine Watch tasting. This wine, we have got an amazing deal on it. 04, one of the greatest vintages from Montalcino in the last 20 years. $95 a bottle for the Magnum, folks. Yes, we've had this on sale for a limited time only. We sold 20 bottles on the night of the tasting to the people that tasted it. Check it out on this email. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying, remember, always drink the good stuff first.